Welcome to Martini Time. Yes, I'm back again. I have my father's watch and for me to keep time. And I have my, I'm going to have a drink from my Dragon Martini. Look, isn't that beautiful? See? My martini glasses, collection of 500 left to me by my uncle, and I've given a lot of them away, but I've kept the nice ones. So, as Jackie Gleason said, how sweet it is. So, I have a prop here. See, most of my, I don't know if you can see. Anyway, you can see here I got a lot of props, things that have metaphorical significance to me, like the cotton ball and things I pull up with. And I just put this up here. This is a wide angle lens. I'm a retired photographer, still do a little bit, and this is my wide angle lens. And so I often use this in my observations on Facebook and in life. You can't have enough of, you really need to have a wide angle lens, because when we focus in on something, the background gets blurred and you lose context. And so a wide angle lens, you see, brings everything into focus. You see the whole picture. And last night at Martini Time, I was talking about the mass shooting and the pollution of the American pool, and why we are all swimming in it and can't get out. You know, nobody can stand on the edge of the pool and figure out what's causing the pollution, because we're in it. And when you're in the water, like a fish in a fish bowl, you can't see the bowl, right? So when you're in the pollution, when the mind is, you're polluted too, because our individual minds are the American mind, even though each one of us has a different mind with different contact, the shape of the mind is the American mind. That's why it's always so good to go abroad, because you get to see your own shape from a different place. You see. So, but when we're in it, and the media is the American mind too. We're all in the media mind. We get our information about the world through the media. We're affected by it. You know, it shapes us now. This is new. So what I've been working with today with my wide angle lens, I'm really going to go far out now, because we've been trying to get but the mass shootings happen, and they always, and last night we talked about the ritual of it. I mean, everybody knows the script now. You're going along, and then boom, oh my God, there's a shooting, and the whole script unfolds to the parade of innocence, and then you have all of the students, the victims, their little stories, and then you have the laying of the lights and the flowers, and then something else happens. I have to sneeze. Excuse me. And then Mueller arrests, indicts 13 Russians, and it's gone. Oh, excuse me. Let me have a little sip here. So today, my wide angle lens extended a little bit, and we're talking about the victim game. Now, there's one thing that seems to be consistent in the mass shooting, is that whether it's 17 or 50 killed or 2 or 1, it creates a victim. Because the people shot are victims. They didn't do anything. I mean, they didn't attack the guy. They didn't do anything to him. You know, so they're innocent victims. All right, so the mass shooting creates innocent victims. And I got to looking at this today, and it seems like we have an investment in our society in victimhood. Now, when you have an investment in something, you keep it going, because you have an investment in it. So I got to looking at all the different ways we are invested in the game, the victim game. Now, even the NRA is invested in victims, because if there were no victims, there'd be no reason to have a gun. And when there is a robbery or a televised a media event, oh, this guy shot everybody, Willie Horton and all that, oh, I don't want to be a victim like that person. I need a gun. So the gun is an antidote to feeling the victim. But without the victim, you don't need one. You see. So who else invests in the victimhood? Well, the media certainly gets a big investment in it. Their ratings go up. Everybody turns on and looks like a Super Bowl. A focus. The whole nation focuses on every little detail. Can't get enough. They reenact it, you see, for 2 or 3 days. 3 days, figure. You reenact it they play the videos again. And, oh, don't watch this. It's a really graphic video. Don't watch it. Well, sure you're going to watch it. And then you have the mic in front of the person. They're crying, And I'm not meaning to demean anybody. I'm just trying to describe what's going on, So the victims themselves, the dead people are not victims, they're dead. So the people that are left standing are the victims, and of course it expands because everybody who views it has empathy for the victims and they feel the victim. And then they lock their doors and go get a gun, you see, or have more training at the schools, and have more guards because we don't want to be victims. So this whole thing seems to manufacture mass victims. So there's a local incident where you have the media, the whole nation has empathy with it. I'm not saying this is wrong or shouldn't be. It just is. But I'm just trying to expand the wide angle here a little bit and to see how we are unconsciously invested as a society in victims, in maintaining victims. Victims sell. In the sense that the NRA certainly sells on it. They have an investment in it. Of course, they won't admit that. If everybody says, no, I don't want victims. Just the opposite. I want to get rid of victims. But nobody does, so it keeps on going. So somebody's invested in it. When there's no investment in some behavior, it stops. In your own life, if you no longer invest secretly in a particular behavior or game you play, if you see the investment, if you see how you are invested in your own suffering, there's a secret pleasure, a secret power, something unconscious. When you make that conscious, it stops. It just drops off. You don't have to stop it. You don't have to make any effort. You don't have to go to a class to stop it or take training. It just drops off. Boo. That's the way relationships that go bad end. You suddenly realize you've been investing in an abusive relationship, that you were getting a secret pleasure out of it. You were loving being the victim. And when you see that you have an investment in being a victim, the game drops off. Because when you have a victim, let me get one of my props here. Here's a relationship, and it can be your relationship with somebody, or your relationship with yourself, or with the world, or it can be a group, but the relationship is the two that is one. The relationship is one, but it's two, you see? So this is a relationship. You can't get any music if you just have one. What's the sound of one cymbal clapping? That's the Zen thing, right? So you need two to make the sound. But each one, you see, sees the other one as attacking me. So this one feels the victim of this. What? Why are you hitting me? Why are you making me a victim? You see? In a relationship of victim and abuser, each one is the abuser, each one is the victim. But each one separates themselves and says, you're the abuser, I'm the victim. And the other one says, no, you're the abuser, I'm the victim. You see? And that's the way the relationship makes music. But each one maintains the relationship so they can make the music by accusing the other one of being the aggressor and the abuser, and I'm the victim, you see. So that's the way it plays out. And so if you look at it in society then, now you have mass victims. Now the mass shooter, the kid, who feels like he was abused, he was the victim. These people don't like me. The school doesn't like me. Nobody likes me. My parents don't like me. I'm a victim. And he says, by God, I'm not going to take it anymore. I'm not going to be a victim anymore. So he goes, gets an AK-47, and he goes in and shoots up the abuser. In that moment, he feels powerful. He is no longer the victim. In that moment, he's bought himself freedom from being the victim. He has changed it, but then, of course, it is a temporary solution because he usually dies. This time he lives, so he'll spend his time, they'll probably electrocute him. This would be a victim of the state. So anyway, that's a temporary solution, obviously. But the point is, the victim, the mass shooter, is his victimhood is so intolerable that he will go to death in order to change himself from the victim into the master, you see. Because when you have a gun, you're the master. That's the whole point of a gun. It changes you from being the victim to being the master. That's what the gun does, Unless the other one has a gun, and then you both, But anyway, so we're looking at the mass shooter who transmutes himself from being a victim into being a master, and he creates mass victims. Because the people that are shot are no longer victims. They're dead. It's the people left standing that feel the victim. And then we empathize with it, of course. We watch them, we cry with them, we feel the frustration and the anger. And we feel the victim with them, you see. So we create this great ritual of mass victimhood. And there has to be, it continues because there is a secret investment in it. Not a conscious investment. Nobody wants this to happen. Nobody wants this to recur. But there is a secret or hidden investment in it. Otherwise, it wouldn't be happening. And we can't see it because we can't, in other words, this piece here can't see that it's abusing this, that both sides are victimizing each other, because there's an investment in making music, making a sound, you see. So the sound, what is the sound, you see, of the victim and the abuser? Well, we can see it in relationships, where the wife or the husband or whatever, whoever's being abused, can't break free of it. They keep hoping it'll end, but they go back, until finally one day they see, and it just drops off, They get outside of it. They see that one that is two. They see that my actions to escape being a victim are creating my victimhood, you see. They see that all my efforts to get out of it is creating it. So we look at the mass victimhood here now of the mass shooting, and all of our efforts to get out of it are creating it. Well, first there's the fragmentation of causes. Everybody invests in a particular cause. Oh, it's guns. No, it's mental illness. No, it's the FBI. No, it's Obama. No, it's Trump. No, it's this and that and this and that. And everybody invests in their cause, you see. So there's a fragmentation of causes. And then the causes attack each other. My cause is the real cause. No, my cause is the real cause. No, yours is wrong. No, I'm right, you see. And so they all snarl like a pack of dogs at each other, you see. Never looking at the real cause. Never putting on the wide-angle lens, you see. That we're all participating in creating the mass victims. It's all a secret investment. Even the investment of being right on my cause is right is a cause for the mass, is a participation in it, you see. So even the investment in my being right on finding what's the cause of it, the single cause, everybody wants to find the single cause. And this is logical, because if you find the single cause, it's like a machine, but life isn't a machine, but we like to think it is because we can use logic. So if the car's not working, there's a single cause. It's the carburetor, it's this, it's that. The mechanic will find that. He'll fix that first cause and the car runs. Or there might be two, but he'll find it and it'll run, you see. So now we have a society with a bad carburetor, or something's bad in it, because we keep coughing up mass shootings. You see, every month a new one, boom, and we can't find the cause. It's driving us crazy, because logic says there is a first cause, you see, but we all have an investment in our cause. That's one thing. And the NRA then has an investment in more victims, because victims create the need for guns. That's an unconscious thing. I'm not saying that the NRA and the gun people want to have mass shootings. No, no, no. But there is an unconscious secret investment in it, you see. That's what we're interested in here, the unconscious. And so when we put on a wide-angle lens, we make the whole scene conscious. Every photographer knows that. If you have a zoom lens, the bird is in focus, but the background is not. Or you shift over to a horse. The horse is in focus. The background is not, you see. You put on a wide-angle lens, and the bird and the horse and the background are all in focus. You're not selecting anything. So when you put on a wide-angle lens, you're not selecting any single cause. Oh, it's this. No, it's not that. Oh, it's that. No, it's not this, you see. That just fragments the lens. You just keep going from one narrow focus lens to another. The wide-angle lens sees no first cause, because the seeing sees that everyone is the cause. You see, that's what I meant last night when I said the pool is polluted. Jump in, you see. So this whole, to me, this is not, and so the reason it sparked this today was that it seems to be, and I may be wrong, we may be wrong, or whatever, that there seems to be something different happening with this Florida shooting. The students are getting angry. The students are marching. The students are angrily screaming at Trump and Congress and the politicians to ban the instrument of victimization, the AK-47, you see. And so now here, this is an interesting phenomenon. The victims are getting angry and refuse to be victims. Instead of just telling they're sorry and then laying the flowers and praying to Jesus and all of that, you see, and getting their stories and the parade of innocence and telling all again, I'm not finding fault, but just telling the stories of the victims, and we cry over the victims. Oh, what an innocent life, what a beautiful child, snuffed out in their youth, by this madman or by this gun or whatever we say the first cause is, you see. The mentally ill or whatever. Or if it's a terrorist act, well, then it's the Muslims or the ISIS or whatever, you see. And so all of this, but the essential fact is that the parade of victims continues. And so this investment in it, you see, is the same kind of investment we have in our own life when we invest in behaviors that create suffering. We invest, if you smoke, you're invested in something that's going to kill you. So I'm invested in martinis. But so I think that's what I'm playing with here, and I play with ideas. I play on Facebook. Facebook is my idea sandbox. I get something going and it works and people respond and we talk and yada yada and all of that, you see. But an idea grows. And that's what keeps me young. That's what keeps me alive. Keeps me fresh, you see. Seeing keeps you fresh. Seeing the whole with a wide angle keeps you alive and fresh and curious and creative, you know. So anyway, I'm interested to see if there is a movement starting here where the victims refuse to be victims anymore. And the victims, of course, are the high school students that are getting slaughtered. You see? And then the parents, of course. And then everyone else that empathizes with them. That becomes a huge national victimhood, you see, of grief. And we have to reach the point where we say, enough is enough. I refuse to be abused anymore. I refuse to be a victim. I refuse to play the game. I no longer have any investment in being a victim. And this is a personal thing and a social thing. Because we all have aspects of ourselves where we feel the victim of the boss or the wife or the husband or the kids or my own mind. I'm a victim of my own thinking. I'm a victim of my own habits, you see. So this victimhood is not only objective, where somebody else is abusing me, but I'm abusing myself. So this is something that is very universal and something that that requires a wide-angle lens. And just a refusal to say, like the Buddha, I will sit here and no longer be a victim of my own mind. I just have had enough. So thanks for dropping in.